Yeah, good evening, everyone. Hope I'm audible and everyone could see my screen here.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So, let's go back to the things what we discussed in the last class. We have seen the ECMA 6 concept. We have seen what is the history of it, etc. And we have covered some of the concepts like what is your arrow functions, what are the default parameters concept, what do you mean by rest parameter, and what do you mean by scope of variable?
Sir, your voice is not clear.
Is it for everyone, guys? Am I not clear?
Your voice is clear, sir.
It is clear. Okay. Can you please check from your side also, like who said like the problem? Yeah. So we have seen this scope of variables. We see that local scope, global scope, etc. stuff we have seen, and we have seen the difference between the let keyword and the const keyword and the var keyword. And on the top, we have seen the string interpolation, etc. stuff. So hope everyone is clear till here. Everybody
Yes,
got
sir.
it? Practice on this. Okay.
Yes,
Good.
sir.
So for today, the topics what we have is we'll talk about the super keyword for both of the batches. I have already I had just covered a bit of super keyword part where anytime you are calling implementing the inheritance in order to invoke the constructor of the parent class, we used to use the super keyword, isn't it? But how do we invoke the parent class properties or the methods using the super keyword that we are going to discuss? And on the top, we have the concept of importing and exporting the modules. Guys, just give me a second, 1 second. Sorry guys, back. So we'll see the concept of importing and exporting the modules, like how do you import and export modules to avoid the data collision or security of the data and to not to have the duplication of the code. We'll discuss about that. And we till now we have seen the two data structures in your JavaScript, which is your arrays and JSON, isn't it? So today we'll discuss about the new data structures. What do you mean by set and map? And on the top, we have seen the looping control structures for and while and do while, but at the same time for in also we have seen. But on the top, we have for off looping control structure, which is used to iterate the set and map, and a new looping control structure for each used to iterate over the arrays. Okay, so what is that? We are going to have a look on that. So let's start with the super keyword concept again. JS super key. Okay, so let me create a class, say for example, some parent. Okay, and let's say some constructor. Okay, so I have a class under this, a parent constructor. Under that, I say some display MSG. Okay, under that, I simply put a message, something called am from parent class. Okay, and yeah, that's it. On the top, I will be creating another class, say some child class, say some constructor. And again, I would like to put the same method name here, console.log am from child class. And how do you make this guy as a child class? How do you implement the inheritance between the classes in JavaScript, guys? Using what keyword?
Super keyword, sir.
Come on, how do we implement the inheritance between the classes?
Extend
keyword, exactly. It is extends keyword, right? So we say extends the parent class. Okay, this is what it is. So you have a parent class following with the child class. so and so, and you're going to create a object for the child class. Say some var some s1 is equal to new child of, okay, and I say s1 dot display message. Okay, save this guy, open this guy within the browser. You go with the inspect, go with console. It says that there is an error. What it says, must call super constructor in the derived class before accessing this or returning from the derived constructor. So what do you mean by this? We already know this, right? Anytime we are implementing the inheritance between the classes, we are going to create an object for only the child class. If that is the case, how the parent constructor or the parent class constructor is getting invoked? Okay, there is no way. That is the reason the very first statement under the child constructor should be the super keyword. Whenever you say super, it invokes the parent class constructor. Okay, that is as per syntax also, it is an error. Now, if you reload, it works fine. If you see here, it is throwing a message, something called as I am from the child class. Why so? You have the same method name. I mean, whenever you have the same method name under the parent and the child, the first priority will be given for the
Recent
child.
one, sir.
Okay, for the child class, this is what it is getting invoked. But what if your requirement is you need to invoke, or else instead of this display message, say something called show info is one of the method. Okay, under this, I would like to call this dot display message. Okay, and from outside, I will say show info. Okay, now if you save this guy, again reload the page, you see again it is calling from the show info. Sorry, it is getting invoked it is invoking the child class method only. What if I would like to invoke the method which is defined inside the parent, even though it is the same method name? So this is where you can again make use of the super keyword. Whenever you are implementing the inheritance, when you want to invoke the parent class methods, either you can make use of the this operator, or you can simply make use of the super dot display message, where this dot indicates the current child things, and when I say super dot, it is going to be the parent. Now if you reload the page, I have the both child class part and the parent class part. So this is how super keyword is being used. One way we are going to make use of the super keyword is to invoke the parent class constructor, and the second thing is when you have the same name within the parent and the child methods, we can differentiate, or we can specifically invoke the parent class methods using the super keyword. Any questions on this? I think Sonali, you had a question on this, right? So hope you're clear on this now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Is everyone clear? What is the use of the superclass? And one more thing, guys. For example, if you have a property, okay, you could able to differentiate the methods. Fine. Now I say this dot name equal to something called as parent. Now I say here in this guy, this dot name is equal to child. I have the same property name. Okay. Now under this show info, I say console.log name is plus this dot name. Okay, let us save this guy. And if you come back and reload, obviously it will say it as a child. Why so? It always points out to this. Now, if I try to use the super keyword here so that I can get the parent class properties. Now, if you come back and reload, it is simply saying as undefined. When you are trying to access the methods, it is fine to use the super keyword, but you are trying to access the properties, it is not possible to make use of the super keyword. Then you may put me a question, boss, then in that case, how do I get the property of the parent guy? So in that case, you can make use of another method, say something called as get name as a method. Okay, under that, you simply return this dot name. Okay, now when you're calling this guy, you can simply call this get name using the super keyword. This is what you can do. Now, if you come back and reload the page, don't say that. Why it is coming as child here? Super dot get name. This is parent, right? Oh. I say get name. Come back and reload the page. Why it is coming as child here? When I say super dot get name, return this dot name. Okay, this is the problem, right? So only methods are getting invoked. But here we should be able to get this guy too. Yeah, test is coming. So yeah, that indicates that we can only access the methods when you have the same names between the client, the child and the parent. We can only make use of the super keyword in order to get the member functions. Okay, so what do you mean by member functions? Any methods what you define within a class, we can call it as a method or a member function. Any property what you define inside a class, we call it as a property or a data member. Okay, to access the same name member functions within the parent, we can make use of the super keyword. Okay, so any questions on this? Oh,
so can we say it's like a reference variable to the parent class?
Okay, one
basically
second.
the super.
No, 1 second. Just give me a second. There is an issue with the name also, right? Let me say it as name is this dot name. I make it as name 1 by using this reference. This dot name 1. Yeah, it is same guys. It's not the problem with the name attribute. It is like properties cannot be accessible. That's it. Yeah, Raj, you are putting some question. What is that?
Yeah, so can I say basically the super, the super word is basically a reference variable to the parent class?
Yes, you can say that. Super is a specific reference through which you can actually refer to the super class or the parent class behaviors or member functions.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, Haribabu has a question. Super is a reference parent class. This is a reference same class. I'm right, sir. Exactly, Haribabu. And can we use super keyword outside of the class? Obviously, no, Vishwa. Because when I say super, it has to be only used within the child class. It cannot be accessible outside of it. Because when it comes out, how do you know that what is the child and what is the parent? So it cannot be used, right? Either the this operator or the super keyword cannot be accessible outside. Okay. Yeah. So the next part, what we have is importing and exporting the modules. Okay, so this is again one of the very important feature which is being introduced within the ECMA 6 concepts, guys. Okay, so the main intention of going for the importing and exporting is, guys, just give me a second. Yeah, sorry. So the main intention of going with the importing and exporting is, till now, anytime we are using any of the external JavaScript, what we used to do, we always used to include that guy within our HTML file. Okay, or let me create an example, then I'll go with the explanation. Let us say import and export demo.html. Yes, please. Someone asking question. Farad, like somehow your voice is breaking. I mean, it is not clear. Can you please check your mic once? Yeah, can you please type it out? Stating import and export files. Okay, so let me say I have, okay. I say script, I say some, okay, before the script, let me say some input type equal to text. ID equal to say some fval. I'm just writing the code, guys. We'll give the explanation. Okay, so I have a method which actually reads these values and it converts it. At the same time, I would like to create another library here, say some math util.js. Okay, I'll say some var add values is equal to something for this guy. Let us pass on this a1 comma a2. Is equal to a1 plus a2 return result. Okay. Okay, so from here, result is equal to, I say math utils add values. I simply need to pass this fval comma as well. I say multiplication values f value and as well. Now I say var msg equal to the is result.
Sir,
Yes, please.
I ended up writing something on chat, to clarify a few doubts. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I think I might be right. I just, I don't want anyone inside the group to get the wrong idea. So could you just go through it once, please?
Sure, I'll do that. Just give me a second. Document dot query selector hash so and so dot inner HTML is equal to MSG. Okay, so yeah, what are your questions? Okay, what super keyword we can't access parent property? Yes, but we can use the super to call parent class constructors. Okay, Raj, I think it works that way because the subclass inherits all the members from the parent, and as a constructor are not members, they are not inherited. As constructors are not members, they are not inherited, and so you have to use super to access them from parents. I will check. You have to use the super keyword to access them. Okay, to just reframe the answer here, guys. The reason why the super keyword is coming is, for example, if I have a class A, okay, under this, I have a method, something called as test method, and I have another class B. Now I have a method called as something called as sample. Now, can I simply say this dot test if I'm inheriting this guy extends class A? You tell me, is it is possible or not? Can I say this dot test or do I need to say super dot test?
The test is always work.
Obviously, right? The reason is because when I say class extends A, implies I'm getting the complete inheritance of my existing class, and I can directly access that guy. I don't need to go with the super keyword. When I'm going with the super keyword, if there are the same type of reference, here I say some get info is one of the method you have. Now is in JavaScript, there's a possibility that I can go with the get info, but at the same time, JavaScript doesn't support the overloading or overriding. Now, in this case, if I need to invoke, if I need to say that get info, this is where the problem is coming. If you have different properties, different methods, it is always fine. You can simply make use of the this operator to access the parent class properties or the child class properties. When the super is coming into the picture, when you have the common property names or the common behaviors in both the same behavior name in both the child and parent class. Now you have the get info or here and here. Now when I say this dot get info, obviously the child method will get invoked. Now to specifically say that, boss, you need to invoke the parent class properties. That is where you go with the super key. Did it clarify your statement, Raj?
Yeah.
Yeah. For everyone, right? No questions?
Oh, sir, clear.
Fine. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead, please.
Sir, if I have same property name for parents and child, I want to put the property of parent inside the function. Then by using super keyword, I can access it. Am I right or wrong?
That is what we said. Are you talking about the property or behavior?
No, sir, property.
The property cannot be done, right? If it is property, then there is a problem. Because when I say this dot, it will try to access the child class properties only. If it is only behavior, then the advantage is there. So that is the reason mostly don't take the same common properties. Having the same common behavior name is fine.
So, sir, in real world, there won't be any occurrence of same property name. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, Radhika.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, Sonali, are you clear too?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so coming back to this guy, this is a very simple example I created. Go with inspect, go for console. I have two elements, two text boxes. I just give some value. When I say do add values is not defined. Why so? I have not included the library here. I need to say math.util.js. Save this guy. Come back and reload the page. Now I give the value, say some 34 and 88. When I go with do add, it is saying that addition is 122. If I say multiplication, it says the multiplication is so and so. Okay, fine. Now, this is what we were doing till now. Anytime we are creating a external library or external JavaScript file, we are importing or we are including, we are not actually importing it, we are actually including the external JS file HTML. That is where all the code will be included. And once you have the code within the HTML, you can invoke it, whatever the methods you want, any number of times, you can simply invoke it. That's what we have done till now. But what the problem we face whenever you're including the JS files within the HTML, the problem what we see is the scope of the method is going to be a global. Now I'm going to take another JS file. Right now, if you see math.util.js is only used under app.js. Now under this guy, if I take some src, some sample.js file, under the sample file, can I use add values method? Under the sample.js, it is possible to use the add values method which is defined under the math.util.js? Yes or no?
Awesome.
How can you say no, man? Then how come app.js is using it? If that is the case, both sample and app.js are external files only, right? How come app.js is using and how come sample.js is not used? How can you say that it cannot? Again,
As long as it is you can use it.
Obviously, when we are including the JS files into the same HTML, remember when I'm talking about the closure concept, I said you that when you implement the closure, the complete JS code will be dumped into the page, isn't it? The complete math.util.js will be dumped over here, complete app.js will be dumped over here. So it will be treating like a single file. Obviously, sample.js can use the app.js content and math.util.js content. Agree or not, everyone?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's why we use
sir.
Yeah, so that is the reason we actually make use of the closure concept to put some security, etc. and all. But now what I'm saying is, the problem is one thing, if you see that mathUtil is giving only access to the app.js, even sample also can make use of it. Doesn't matter even you make it as a closure, but still, if you make it as a closure content into the mathUtil.js, anything what app.js can access, everything the sample.js can also access. Yes or no?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now what I'm saying is, if you know that mathUtil. Okay, that is point number one. And the second point is, if you say there is a method add values being defined under mathUtil.js, the same method I cannot define in the sample.js, because those are becoming like a same application. I mean, within the same app here. Now, how do I solve this? Now, what I want to do is, even though I define the method in mathUtil.js, I want to redefine the same method name, and I don't want to give the access of mathUtil.js under sample.js. Okay, my requirement is I don't want to give any type of access of mathUtil.js under the sample.js. Only app.js should able to make use of it. Okay, so how I'm going to do this? This is where we have a concept, something called not including the JS files within the HTML, but including a JS file within the JavaScript itself. We have predefined keyword, something called as import. Import is one of the predefined keywords being supported in JavaScript, using which you could able to import any external JS file into the JS file, not into the HTML file. Okay, so for that, what we need to do is, the very first thing is, when you are defining your JavaScript files or JavaScript code, whatever you're going to define, you need to specify something called export. Okay, you need to make a keyword, something called as export, which is indicating that you have to export these guys to the other world. Now I say something called as export. That means that these two methods should be accessible whoever access this guy. Now I say another method, something called as get info. When you're not putting an export method, that indicates that you cannot access this guy into any other application. Okay, so let me show you that. I say hello from get info. Okay, now I have said that two methods, which is add values and multiplication values, which is exporting, implies I want to make them, anyone who includes this module, they could able to access these two methods. And how they are going to include this? You simply need to say import asterisk as some math. I'll tell you what I mean by this asterisk. From, what do you say? From math util.js, or simply say math util. Okay, now if you save this guy, come back and reload the page. So not use import statement outside a module. Oh, one thing is, when I'm using this guy, it has to be as module. 1 second, guys. Including from module. Yes, this is what you need to specify. Okay, now if we come back and once I reload this page, okay, another thing what I need to do is, it has to run from the server. What is this? Okay, so I run this guy from the server, localhost colon 8081. Sample.js is
It is exclamatory mark, right?
1 second. It is app.js.
Sir, are all the files located in the same folder?
What do you mean? Yes, those all are in the same folder. But one thing is, it is in the ECMA, right? I need to say this guy as yeah. Okay, and one more thing, sample.js. Anyway, I have not, I have not imported. Now I say math.add values. Okay, now I give some 34. I give some 89. When I click on do add, do operation is not defined. Why so? Oh, because it is a module. Come on.
Can't we import modules maybe?
No, actually, I need to import the module as, should not say this, math.js script js. Come on, cannot import statement outside of the module. Yeah, that's valid. Actually, I should not do this import. Is getting invoked, but the problem is, how do we invoke this guy?
In the main page, we don't put the dot slash into the index page. SRC app.
App.js, it is already getting invoked, right? Now, if you see under app.js, that is coming. We don't need to say the slash.
Okay.
But you know, the problem is do operation. Let us try defining it as a function. The operation is not defined. How do I invoke this guy? One thing is importing is working. I could able to call that guy. But the problem is this is a JS file and I'm importing it as a JS. Why I'm not? Okay, we'll do one thing. Let's say some ID is equal to add btn. Yeah, so let's see this, guys. Let me explain it from the very starting. The advantage what you see over here is, for example, if you have a sample.js, earlier you should able to make use of the methods what we defined inside the material.js, which is not even needed. Now, whenever I say I have some 10 JS files, one guy might be depend on one of the module, not every other guy is depending on the every JavaScript file. Now, the advantage what you have with your importing and exporting concept is you can only say what methods or what content of JavaScript file need to be exposed, not to the complete page, only to the specific JavaScript file. Now we have a simple requirement. I have some app.js and I have some sample.js. Under this, I have some external util.js, math.util.js, but my requirement is I don't want to make use of math.util.js throughout the application. It has to be only for the app.js. Then what is the very first thing I need to do? I need to make my app.js as an individual module. Till now, when you are including an external JavaScript file, we used to say that in a script type equal to text or JavaScript, but now I'm saying it as a module so that this guy is capable of importing external modules. Okay. Any question up to this statement? Only in the index.html. Any questions? Clear, everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Now the next step is when you are defining the math.util.js, you need to use a predefined keyword, something called as export. The 830 batch guys, like remember, you are using this import or you are using some required method and export method in your web services. Remember, you can link that guy in your web services. At the very end, we used to say that module.export equal to router. What do you mean by that? You're taking this and you are making that guy to be importable to someone. That is the reason you could able to require that guy. You could able to include the web service under the app.js. So you guys can actually relate these guys. But now under the math.util.js, I'm defining some of the methods. Now under a library, you might define some hundreds of methods, but not every method can be accessible for everyone or anyone who uses this library. Not every method he might be using it, right? So any method are the property, not only the method. Now I say export something called as var some count equal to 900. So what do you mean by this? This count variable can be accessible outside of this module. Okay. Now, once you say export, what is going to happen? You can start making use of that library using something called as import. This is what a very, very new thing, importing an external JavaScript file into another JavaScript file. This is a very special thing which been supported from your ECMA 6. You can include in external JavaScript files into the JavaScript files itself. Till now, we were doing that using the under the HTML file. But from now, it is recommended that you can directly make use of the JS file within the within the other JS file itself. So you simply say import asterisk. What do you mean by asterisk here? You should get every other thing, whatever math.util.js is exposing. But if you say that, no boss, I'm interested only with one of the method, then you know what you can do? You can simply say math.util something not as math. Now you simply say import something called as count, comma, multiplication values like this. So what do you mean by this? From this JS file, you should be able to import the count and you should be able to import the multiplication values. Add values will not work out here. So like this, if you say asterisk, everything, whatever he is exporting, you will able to access, you should be able to access it. If you say that, no boss, I'm only interested with only few properties, you can even say that import so-and-so or import so-and-so from the particular library. So this is also one way you can do. So the advantage what you have is in math.util, it might be hundreds of methods. If you want only one method, you take only one method, other methods are not at all getting disturbed. You can even define same method name even in your application. This is what the advantage you have. But if you say import asterisk, you are going to give some reference so that math is the reference Using that math dot, whatever the export method he is providing, you should be able to access it. Okay. So now once I said the import asterisk as math, now I'm simply saying math dot add values, math dot multiplication values. Now, for example, he's not using the export for the math multiplication values. Now, if you come back and reload, now I give some values. I say do addition, working super fine. But when I say do multiplication, it said that boss, there is no multiplication values. Why so? You have not exported it. Only the methods which are being exported, only those things can be imported into the external JavaScript file. So with this, the advantage what you have is you have the data security again. Whatever the code you are defining in one of the JS, only the guy who imports it, that guy can access. And another advantage what I have is there is no data duplication. Now there is a method called as getInfo. Can I define the same method under this guy getInfo method? Yes, that doesn't affect the existing guy. Why so? That getInfo is different and this getInfo is completely different. So this is what we call it as a new concept, importing and exporting JS files into an external JS file. Any questions? Everyone, any questions, yes or no?
No questions for me, sir.
Okay, one second. Haribabu is having a question. Why static event listeners are not working? Haribabu, it is not the static event listeners. The reason is once you are saying it as a module will work as an external JavaScript file. I mean, this JS file is not getting executed here. That is the reason it couldn't able to identify. Now what I'm saying, I'm using the external or I'm using the dynamic event listeners. Now as a part of the page, obviously document object is accessible. So the dynamically I'm identifying the DOM element, then I'm saying what operation need to be used. The reason is you said it as script type equal to module. Module is not a part of your JS file, not a part of your HTML page. That is the reason when you say add values, he's not getting that. What do you mean by add values or do operation method? So that is the reason through module, I have added the event listener. It is not the concept of static event listener is not working, dynamic event listener working. No, that is not the case. It is the concept of the method what you defined within the module cannot be accessible within the HTML. That is the reason through module, I'm adding the listeners to make the job happen. Am I clear, Hari? Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay, what is this, Dinesh? Manoranjan Panda, happy birthday. Yeah, go ahead. Someone asking a question?
Sir, can we single JS file import into multiple JS file?
Yes, using the import, you can use this guy. Now say, for example, other guy also wanted this guy. You can make use of again the import. One JS file can be imported into any number of external JS files, and inside a single JS file, you can import any number of external JS files. Both things can be done. Next. Everyone so clear on this? No questions? Do you see the advantage of this, guys? By using this import?
Yes.
Okay, super fine. You know, like even it is more advantage than closure. Even you can say that, boss, why don't we use the closure here? Yes, if we make it as a closure is the one who is securing all the data, returning the methods, whatever you want to expose it to the outside world, fine. But if you include the closure guy as an external JS file over here, every extra other HTML also can access the closure method, right? Closure object, they can use it and they can start making use of it. Now, what we do is we are adding more security by importing whatever you wanted, which is only exposed to the particular JS file. Not everyone can access it. Okay, so this is one more advantage on our ECMA 6. Okay, now coming to the next feature, which we call it as new data structures. Till now, we have seen the data structures, which is your arrays and JSON are the two data structures we have seen. But from now, from ECMA 6, there are new 2 data structures which are being supported. One is something called as set data structure, and another is something called as map data structure. Okay. So what is set data structure and what is map data structure? Let's have a look on that. First of all, we'll go with the set data structure. Everybody have an idea what actually data structure is? A data structure is capable of holding more than one value, isn't it? Okay, array, one data structure capable of holding more than one value of heterogeneous data. JSON capable of holding more than one value, but in the form of key and value pairs. Okay. Now, what are the speciality of this set data structure? Let's have a look. Okay. So first of all, in JavaScript, there is a predefined class, something called a set. Okay, by default, there is a predefined class which has already been supported, which we call it as a set. Anytime you want to create a new set, you simply say where, say some S1 is equal to new set of something like this. Okay, the set is a predefined class which is supported in your JavaScript. Now, this set is one of the data structure which is almost similar to an array data structure. Okay, set is a data structure which is almost similar to a array data structure which is capable of holding more than one value, and all the values can be heterogeneous type of data. Now, what is the difference between the set and the array? Then the main difference what you have is set will only allow unique values within it. Okay, you cannot add duplicate values within a set. Now, say for example, I'm saying where say some EMP IDs. Okay, I would like to store some EMP IDs inside a set. Is there is a chance that multiple employees will be having same IDs here? Is there is a chance?
sir.
No,
No,
sir.
sir.
You know, right? Okay, then that is what that is where we have to go with the set data structure. Anytime you want to add a unique value, you simply go with the set. Now, how are you going to insert the data into the set? So under the set, if at all you want to insert, you simply say dot add is a predefined method using which you can add a single value. Now I say dot add e underscore 234. Okay, this is a string, right? So I'm simply doing this. Now, if at all you want to add another guy, you say u underscore 232. Or the other way, what you have is you can simply say dot add method any number of times. EMP IDs dot add, dot add, dot add. You can even do this. E underscore 236, something like this. Okay. At line number 11, I'm creating a new set, and now I'm trying to insert the values inside the set using EMP IDs. Now, when I say console.log, what is this EMP IDs? I want to see the set, how actually it is getting created. Now, if you open within the browser, go with inspect, go with console. So the set is having 3 values. And if you see as like an array, is it getting the index values 0, 1, and 2? In case of arrays, it is happening the same, right? We are not creating the index values. By default, the index values will be injected to all the values within the array. In the same way, every value within the set will be assigned with a index value like 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. Now, let us try to insert another value dot add, same thing, e underscore 234. You see, there is already a value called as e underscore 234. I'm trying to insert multiple times. Now let us come back and reload the page. Still, what is the size of this guy? It is still 3. It doesn't allow you to insert duplicate values inside this. Even though you're trying to insert, it will try to store only the single copy of it. Am I clear? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Does it take the latest value?
Obviously, both are same, right? Doesn't matter whether it
Yeah.
takes one. No, it is not even allowing it to store. I'll just override the existing one with the new part, and that new is again the old one. Okay. On the top, the other property what you have is, if at all you want to find out the size of an array, you can simply say console.log empids dot reload the page. You see the 3. So dot size is one of the property. Now this is again a difference. In case of your array, in order to find out the total values within the array, we have a property called as dot length property. Whereas in case of your set, we have dot size property, which will return the total number of values within the given set. Okay. Next, we have another method, something called as the set dot has method. So has is one of the predefined method which returns a Boolean value based on whether the given value existing or not. Now I say e underscore 232. Come back and reload the page here. Now once I reload, it returns true. Why so? This value exists. Now I say 234, something like this. It returns false. Dot has is a predefined method which returns whether it is true, whether the existing elements existed or not. Super fine. Now, another question what we have is, in case of arrays, whenever we want to retrieve the data, we used to take that using the combination of array name with an index value. But here, I now if I try to say emp IDs, now let us say console.log emp IDs of 1. Now, if you come back and reload the page, it says undefined. Why so, boss? That there is a value at the position 1, right? But the reason is, boss, this is not the way you're going to retrieve for the sets. If it is an array, yes, you make use of the square brace and all, but it is a set, right? Then how you're going to retrieve the values of it? So if at all you want to retrieve the values from the set, the method what we have is, I say console.log empids dot values. Dot values is a predefined method which will return you the total values within the set. See here, these are the values what you have. And if at all you want to iterate over the values, I want to go to each and every value of the set here. So there we were using the for loop. But here, the another new predefined looping control structure what we have is for off looping control structure, using which you can iterate over the set or map also. So how you're going to make use of the for off here? You simply say for, say some let key of emp IDs dot values. Now if I say console.log key, it will return you all the values within the particular set. Emp ID values is not iterable. Why so? Oh, I should use it as a method, right? Now once you reload the page, this is how you're going to go to each and every value and you should be able to retrieve it. Okay, guys, just give me a second. Just go through the piece of code. I'll be back in a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm back, guys. So yeah, any questions on this, guys?
Sir, I
Yes,
have a
please.
doubt regarding
Yes,
to
sir.
this.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, what is the difference between the line number 14 and 20?
Line number 14
14
and
and
line
20.
number 20. If you see here, actually, there is something called as a iterator. Whenever you say a set, it is a data structure. On a set, you cannot iterate. Iterate in the sense, I cannot put a looping.
Yeah,
In
okay.
order to put a looping, I need to make it as a iterator. Now, if you see here, when I say at line number 14, it is showing something like this. It is saying that it is a set. But when I say at line number 20, you see it is showing it as a set iterator. This is the one which on the top, you can actually put some looping. And when in order to put some looping, you need to say dot values so that it becomes a iterator. That is what the difference between line number 14 and 20.
Okay. I have a regarding another doubt.
Uh-huh.
Is it mandatory to looping the at the it is mandatory to play emp dot values for looping the for loop?
Yeah, that is what, right? Now, if you say something like this, EMP, that is not a iterator, right? Now, come on, don't say that. Actually, it was mandatory. I think like in the new version, it got changed. Earlier, like if that is the case, then what is the reason of having the dot values? I think yes. I mean, even in the direct set also, you can actually put some iterator. Both are same.
Oh, okay, sir. Okay,
Clear? Yeah.
clear.
Next, any other questions?
Sir, I've got a question.
Guys, one thing I think I have missed some of the questions in the chat. I think a lot of questions have gone. I missed it. I mean, if I miss anything, could you please retype the question, guys, so that I will recheck it.
Yeah, I can go through the question with you now, sir, since you're here.
Oh, yeah, 1 second. I have some questions. Let me answer them. I'll get back to you. I have
Okay.
a question from Shweta. She's saying that at line number 22, why we are using the let keyword. Can anyone tell me, guys, at line number 22, why I'm using the let instead of var keyword?
Because it's a local, sorry,
That I can make this variable as a block scope so that no one can able to access the key outside of the for loop. Am I clear, Shweta? Okay, next, Ramu is having a question like foreign JSON object to find key and values in the JSON object. Exactly, Ramu. So I think you are giving a statement, right? It's not a question. In case of your JSON, we have the foreign looping control structure, whereas in case of your set, we have a for off looping control structure. Yeah. On the top, Raj. Yeah, please go ahead, Raj, with your question.
So my question is basically, if you end up having something like an array and you pass it through, a set, can you remove duplication of data? Like, only have one set of values that come out of it at the end of it.
You mean to say, converting an array into a set?
Indirectly, but the reason you're doing it is to avoid duplication. So if you have an example is, okay, you have a room where multiple employees go in and out, and this keeps a log of whoever has entered the room multiple number of times, but you only want to know who are the exact employees who have entered. So you don't want to know the exact number of times that they have entered, you just want to know who has entered. I don't know if it makes sense what I'm saying.
Now let us say, for example, you say that I say where EMP IDs who entered. Okay, I say array of some 234, 456, again 234, 456, say some 789. Now your expectation is you want, I mean, assume like these all are the employee details. Now in return, you should be able to see the 3. I mean, I want to know how many employees who entered. I don't want like how many times they have entered. That is what your question is, right?
Yes, exactly. So it's like you're tracking them, but only for a certain number of like.
Simply say new set of, I can simply use this dot size. Oh, sorry. Come on. Yes. Now you come back and reload the page. The output is 3. Got it? So what I'm doing is I'm taking an array, I'm converting this array into a set. What I'm saying, new set of. If you simply say new set of, empty set will be created. If you
Mhm.
pass array to that, it will be creating a new set with all the values what you have inside an array. As set doesn't accept the duplication, it will automatically avoid all the duplications.
Okay, can we just print the new set instead of the size, instead of the dot size?
Yeah, obviously, if you say new set, it will be the new values it will be having, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Okay,
console
yeah.
dot log new
Set.
set. Now, if you come back and reload the page,
Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah.
got it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Next, any more questions?
Sir, please explain for of loop.
Okay, for of is a complete looping it is a new looping control structure. What it will does is it will automatically go to each and every value here, whatever there. One second, where is that? Okay, now when you say something called as for off looping control structure, now you have the set where you have the key 0 and so and so, right? When I say a for off looping control structure, here you don't need to specify that it should be start with 0. Now you go with the plus plus etc. You don't need to say this. Once you simply say the set name, it will automatically go for every value within this, and every time it is going, key is the one which is having. Or else instead of this you can simply say set value. There is a like user defined value. I'm saying that every time I'll go here and I'm going to read the first time, I'm going to read e underscore 234, it will automatically go to the second one. You don't need to say this indexing increment and all. That is what happens in case of your for loop. While you're iterating your arrays, we need to say I equal to 0, I should be less than so and so condition. And every time it has to go forward direction or backward direction, you manually need to do that. But now you don't need to do that. Here you simply say that what is the set, and using your for of, it will go to each and every value automatically until it reaches to the end of the value within the set.
Sir, if you access a specific value in set, so what can I do?
If you access, there is no way we are accessing, right? In case of array, there is a chance of accessing, but here there is no way, because when I'm creating a set, I'm not specifying the size. I'm simply saying that it is a set. The advantage what you have in your JavaScript is either you're declaring an array or you're declaring a set. You don't need to specify the size. You can increase any number of values. And another thing, when you're running a for loop, you're not using any incremental operator saying that you have 5 values, but you're trying to go to the 6th position. No, right? When I say let so and so offset, obviously it will only go to the values what you have under the particular set, right? There is no chance of it may exit. Did I answer your question?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah. Next, any more questions?
One question, like, can we also check unique objects in set?
Can we insert unique objects?
Can we have unique objects?
Okay, let us try that. That's a good question. Okay, let me create a separate example. Set demo 2.html. Okay, so this is how I have this. In the same way, let us try to add this name branch s underscore so and so. Once you reload, it is having, right? So that is fine. You can actually add this. You know, did I answer your question, Madhusudan? First of all, it is not taking care of the unique IDs here, unique objects here. It is taking.
Yes.
Why the reason? Can anyone? Okay. Do you know the difference between the primitive data types and the non-primitive data types, guys? Primitive and non-primitive?
Like string number and Boolean are primitive.
So in case of your JavaScript, at least, okay, so the primitive values, what we have is something called as number data type is a primitive. We have something called a string, and we have Boolean, we have null, we have undefined. These
Yeah, the
all will
symbol.
fall under, these all will fall under the, no, symbol is not a data type in JavaScript, right?
Oh, I thought,
Okay.
okay.
Sorry? What is undefined, you're saying? I mean, is it your question that what is undefined? I'm saying that is your question is what is undefined, or I'm not getting your word actually.
Yeah.
We already covered this guy, right? What is undefined, guys? Can anyone answer this?
Which
So
is
if you
declared
don't,
but not assigned a value.
It is one of the data types supported in your JavaScript. Any variable what you declare and you're not assigning anything, it automatically comes under the undefined data type, right? Okay. Now coming to this primitive number string Boolean
Object.
Boolean is this these are primitive data types, and when you say non-primitive, these are something called as object and arrays and functions. These all falls under the non-primitive data types. Now, what is the difference between this non-primitive data types and primitive data types? Primitives are always something called as immutable. Okay, whereas non-primitive are mutable. Okay, so what do you mean by this immutable? Because there is no way you can actually change the primitive values once it is defined. Okay, and in case of your primitive, you can actually compare the values. Now, when I say in case of your primitive, I say var a equal to 90 and I say var b is equal to 99. Okay, now you say a double equal to b. Is what it is going to return? Can I compare these two values like this? Yes, it is possible. But
yes,
coming non-primitive, is it is possible to compare the functions, compare the objects, and compare the arrays? No, right?
No.
That is what we call mutable. I mean, you cannot even compare. In the same way, here the comparison is not happening when you are actually inserting the same object again. That is the reason. Now, if you see, for example, I say var a is equal to an object which is having so and so. Okay. Okay. Now, if I console, this is A and this is B. Okay. Now, if I console A double equal to B. Okay. Now, if you come back and open inside the browser, go with the inspect, go with the console. Actually, both objects are same, but it returns false. Why so? Objects cannot be compared. But when it can be compared, because objects always go with the same reference. Now, if I say A equal to B is equal to so and so, okay, I'm assigning the same value for A and B. Now, if I say A double, come on. Now, if I say A double equal to B, now if you reload the page, then it becomes true. If you give the same reference, yes, then it is comparable. The same object can be comparable, but it cannot be compared with the different object. Now, when I say A double equal to B, it is not actually comparing. It is saying that whether A and B are pointing to the same reference or not. That's it. It is not comparing the values. Okay, so Madhusudan, you asked this question, right? Why this s1 dot add it is happening? You can add multiple objects within the set. Are you clear?
Yes, I'm clear.
Yeah, good. Any more questions?
But is there not any other way like where we can remove the duplicate objects?
Come on, try for that. Okay, that's a very good question. Now, is there is any way that he's asking question? Any way I can do this? I don't want to insert the same type of data. Can anyone answer this?
You can use triple equals to, no?
No. Come on, one more chance. Because right now it is coming as false, right? Triple equal to when we want to go, we want to check the value along with the data type. But if it is non-primitive, you can't do this, right? Come on, anyone? Is there is a chance I can convert this non-primitive object into a primitive data type? Come on, I'm really looking for one of the logic, guys. Think of any chance I can convert non-primitive data type, one of the non-primitive data type into a primitive data type.
Sir, putting
Convert JSON into string.
Is it what is that? Convert?
JSON into
Stringify, sir.
Awesome. That's it, guys. Now what I can do is when you're inserting into the set, why don't you convert into a string? Now you add it. Then it will automatically become primitive. Now again you say again s1 dot add JSON dot stringify. Obviously it adds only for once. Got it, Madhusudan? Are you clear?
Yes, I'm clear.
Yeah. Next. Any more questions? Okay, fine, guys. So I'll pause for today. Okay, the other things what we still have is I need to talk about the map data structure. And tomorrow I'll continue with the for each. And again, there is another for off looping control structure which can be applied on the top of map. And I'll continue with the remaining things. Okay, so make sure everybody does the enough practice on this. And we'll meet again back on tomorrow. Have a good day and good night for everyone. Bye for today.
Good
Thank you,
night.
sir. Good night.
Good night.